inequalities when they actually have this incredible popular mandate to operate, and they demonstrate a commitment to that goal overall, that goal that got them that popularity to begin with, yields pretty positive outcomes. And it's not just in Latin America either. This has also happened in the United States of America. Who am I referencing here? Obviously, no one in contemporary American history. I'm talking about FDR. Ultimately, we have this capacity to go, oh my God, this is terrifying. I don't really, what's going on? We have like a complete control of Congress and the presidency, and there's no checks and balances. And it's like, we're kind of, in my opinion, behaving like American liberals who say stuff like they want to do split ticket voting because they want like a Republican Congress with a Democratic president. I'm not necessarily inclined to immediately say, no, it's good to have opposition. I don't know if like having all of these different representations in Mexican politics has yielded positive results for Mexicans in general. I'm just looking at results. I don't personally care about what these guys are, aesthetically presenting or what happens in this situation. Does that make sense? Yeah, this is a real argument. I used to love the metro system in Mexico City until roofs started falling off, trains derailing and crashing more often. This is something I have heard. Overpasses falling on top of pedestrians. Now, that isn't entirely her fault, obviously. Mexico's crumbling infrastructure is not going to be directly the fault of the last Mexico City mayor, but I have heard from people that she wasn't a very good mayor and more so a careerist. Why are you assuming you know what's going to happen in Mexico, though? Wait, what? Are you talking to me? I'm not assuming that. Like, the real thing is, I don't think she's going to do feminism, for example. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are like, well, that's a woman in charge now. Like, Mexico's about to be feminist. And I don't personally think that that is going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think she's going to advance feminist causes. Maybe she will. I don't know. But it's the social issues that I don't think are going to change in Mexico. But I'll take what I can get in terms of like any kind of advancement for the poorest Mexicans, only for selfish reasons, of course, because I want every Mexican to be able to subscribe at the top of the hour. So the point is all a matter of, what will they do with the popular mandate they have? How did they arrive at this popular mandate? Well, it seems like they arrived at it through good policy, or at least comparatively good policy. I wouldn't say it's the best policy, but overall, making the most of they could with the obvious limitations that they have. We often forget how long and how arduous a process it is to change, especially a country like Mexico. Kind of unrelated, but I remember last elections, Partido Verde literally sponsored a ton of Mexican influencers, and they all posted the same story supporting the party. You're not going to be able to unironically, one, remove corruption as an element from Mexican politics, and two, you're certainly not going to be able to do that in one term, and three, you are not going to be able to dismantle the influence of the cartel. But yeah, see, this is what I mean. The metro system didn't have maintenance work for 53 years, and somehow it's the current government's fault that the infrastructure is crumbling. They handled poorly, though. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. It's like a competent governor, a competent leader, a competent mayor would try to work against that, but it's not entirely in her hands. That's my point. And the same went for AMLO as well. We'll see what happens.
For now, her supporters are celebrating having made history. Once the party ends, most voters want the president-elect to prioritize drug cartel crime over all other issues in her in-tray. Claudia Sheinbaum inherits a nation mired in violence. Her challenge now will be to succeed where so many men before her have failed.
Brother, those are the kind of people say we are becoming Cuba because you voted for Morena. Yeah. One can only wish that Mexico becomes Cuba. That doesn't sound like a bad idea at all. That sounds like an objectively good turn for Mexican politics. Holy dude, Cuba is doing, all things considered, despite the crippling blockades and endless sanctions that are completely unjustifiable, completely inhumane against the Cuban state by the global dominant hegemonic superpower, United States of America, for the crime of having a revolution against the American-backed dictator. I would say that Cuba is probably doing pretty good. If Cuba was allowed to thrive on top of everything else, like if they weren't so hyper reliant earlier on the USSR and then beyond USSR now, China, if they could like participate in the global marketplace as one does, they would do even better.
Not only security matters, but the military now control the customs and have built a refinery and have built an airport and own an airline. So that's a key issue to define moving forward. And also very key policies such as public finances. We're running the largest public deficit this year over the last 35 years. What the new energy matrix and the new energy policy will be, and also a series of elements in relation to competitiveness of the Mexican economy vis-a-vis.
The violence in Mexico is the same propaganda that Trump and the right always say about the place. Different problems like guns in the USA. Wait, what? The violence in Mexico is definitely very real. Cartel violence specifically is very, very real. It's not like, that's not like a fake problem. That's a very real issue. Just like femicide is a very real issue as well. Legitimate problems. The way I look at it is like, it's almost like grading it on a curve, because like, what the you supposed to do? Like, there's a 6-year term limit regardless, but beyond that, it's like this has been Mexican politics for a very long time. I don't know how any administration can tackle it over the course of like 6 years. Maybe over like 2 decades, 3 decades, you can like try to chip away at it. Why doesn't Mexico crack down on cartel violence and jail every gang member like Nayib Bukele, the greatest leader of modern human history, did? Yeah, great question. That would be impossible because they have American guns and American weapons and American gear and American dollars lining up their pockets. And therefore, they are in many instances more powerful than the military. So you can't really do that. And also, that's not a good solution anyway. Mexico's cartel problem is not one that Mexico itself can solve. Mexico's cartel problem can only be solved with American politics. That is the unfortunate reality of the matter. They get their guns from us and they get their money from us. We are the market and we give them guns. So there is no way to solve it internally with internal Mexican politics in general. Now the progressives are in power. They demand an end to the system of violence that the right continued to aid and increase through corruption and austerity for generations. Yeah, look, you have to personally grade on a curve. Like, that's what you have to do. You have to analyze the situation, you look at the material conditions, recognize how bad things are, and then see if the people that you're electing are moving the needle in positive directions. As far as AMLO's administration goes, there is a lot of things that he ran against, like corruption, ending corruption, which is, kind of laughable, and also tackling narco violence, which again did not happen. There are understandable criticisms of like increased military brutalization, but beyond that, like I said, renationalization of oil, nationalization of lithium, these are all, positive. It's funny how leftist leaders and figures in newspapers are saying this is good, but chatters are saying it's bad because their racist families said she sucks. No, I don't think so. I think that there is a understandable growing problem with respect to narco violence. Look, you cannot deny one thing, and that is that AMLO's party is profoundly popular. I mean, you look at the elections and it's like, what are we talking about here? The popularity is unimaginable in comparison to like American metrics. If you look at the 2024 Mexico presidential election live results, she didn't just win 60%. She literally wiped the goddamn map. I mean, it's crazy. Why would they even elect her? She's not even Mexican. She's Lithuanian Jewish. I like that this is Goat K Kona Savage. I like that this is just pure anti-Semitism. Like, literally, just nothing else. I know I wanted some hogs in here, but not like this, okay? Just absolutely feral. I mean, just vintage, yeah. Yeah, just like Obama's not a real American. You know what I'm saying, brother? The head of the Democratic Majority for Israel said that too. The co-chair of Democratic Majority for Israel tried to smear the incoming Mexican president by implying she isn't Jewish enough. He said she even thanked Jesus for her victory. Important to note that she is not involved in the Jewish community and thanked Jesus for her victory is literally the name of her husband. She's not invested in her Jewish roots. And also, guess what, dude? She married a guy named Jesus. I mean, I don't know. Mexican is a Catholic country to the core. Religious diversity is scarce. That's why so many people are against their Jewish background. She runs under the impression that she isn't religious. I don't think she is religious. She comes from a commie family, dude. That's all I need to know. On that front, I would even go so far as to say she's better than AMLO. Like, what are we talking about? Unironically, in my opinion, everything that I've read so far, she literally has a lot of aspects to her that were AMLO's biggest weaknesses from my understanding. More dynamic, a woman. That's like, automatic feminism there. Her background as a stem cell. Claudia Sheinbaum has won Mexico's presidential election in a landslide. In her victory speech, she paid homage to the social movements of the past and promised to continue Morena's impressive record of social progress. The Morena leadership holed up in the Hilton Hotel in Mexico City was in a state of quiet shock. They knew they were going to win Mexico's presidential election, but not by that much. As results trickled in yesterday evening, it became clear the long-expected victory was a drubbing. So far, Claudia Sheinbaum holds a 30-point lead over her conservative rival, Social Galvez, 58.3% to 28.7%, with the third